Thank you, Senator Wright. Senator Kroger.
Thank you, Mr Acting Deputy President. I rise tonight to note a wonderful event that I attended yesterday in Melbourne, and that event was the celebration of the Greek National Day, and I had the very great fortune to represent the Prime Minister, Tony Abbott, at that event because, as we know, he flew out for important meetings with the Prime Minister of Papua New Guinea on Thursday after Parliament rose. At the event, which was based at the Shrine in Melbourne, there were some thousands of men, women and I have to say hundreds and hundreds of beautifully clad children in the national costume. And it was terrific to be a part of this event. The event had a number of people there representing the broader community, but in particular Dennis Napthine, the Premier for Victoria, who is a strong supporter of the multicultural community and the many strengths it has brought to the state of Victoria, gave the main address. Matthew Guy, the Minister for Multicultural Affairs, was also there, and he's well known for his tremendous support for the multicultural community. Many of my federal and state parliamentary colleagues, some from this place, also attended, along with many within the Greek community. The Under-Secretary, or as we would call them, the Deputy Minister for Foreign Affairs in Greece, Mr Gerontopoulos, he attended and flew out from Greece to represent, to have direct representation from the Greek government. The Ambassador for Greece, Mr Dapharanos, along with the General Secretary of the Organising Committee, Mr Kostas Nikolopoulos. And if I could commend Mr Nikolopoulos for putting together such a spectacular day. The 25th of March, which happens to be yesterday, the 25th of March is a day of special religious significance for the country of Greece, but it is also the day that they celebrate their independence, which they fought for the loss of many lives of many men and women. It is a day that recognises their hard fought for independence that was achieved by Greek revolutionaries between 1821 and 1832. It is also known as the Greek Revolution or Greek Uprising. But it is a day when the broader Greek community, may I say, pay their respects to the men and women who lost their lives in fighting for the pursuit of freedom and democracy, values that we hold very close to our hearts here and one that we share with them today. There was a wonderful procession of different Greek groups that marched their way up to the steps of the shrine, which the procession itself was so long it took nearly an hour for them all to make their way up to the shrine. But what was so lovely about that were the number of young people that were involved in that procession. And why that was so special to me is because I think it is so important that whatever your heritage, that your parents make sure that you understand where you come from, what your heritage is, why it is so important to you, and the way that it shapes your life and the way in which you choose to lead your life. And so many of these young men and women, I mean, some were from childcare age up to young adults, but they really were very much part of the whole day's proceedings and certainly demonstrated through their very joyful way in which they partook in the activities, their love and joy of all things Greek and their very important place within the Greek community. It's really interesting to note, Mr Acting Deputy President, that in Victoria alone, there were, in 1871, there were 19 Greek-born women in Victoria and 127 men. And today, and this is where I was standing back as we were receiving the procession. I was thinking about this yesterday. Now more than 50,000 Victorians were born in Greece, which just goes to show you the magnitude and the importance of the Greek community in Victoria and the enormous economic, social and cultural strength that they have brought to our state and indeed to Australia. Not to mention, being a bit of a foodie, Mr Acting Deputy President, the marvellous food that they have brought to our country and their culinary expertise that they have shared with us and that we all continue to enjoy today. There are actually more than 100,000 Greek-born people living in Australia. I've mentioned half of those live in Victoria, and more than 379,000 Australians claim Greek ancestry. The Greek community in Australia is in total more than 600,000, of which just under half of that population is in Victoria. 43% of that population resides in Victoria. So needless to say, Melbourne has the largest Greek-speaking population outside of Europe. It is the third most populous Greek city after Athens and Thessalonica. I have to say, I was really privileged to be part of this extraordinary day. It was a very joyous day. It was sombre in terms of the acknowledging and respecting the reasons why we were there, to acknowledge those that had fallen in the pursuit of independence in Greece. But it was a wonderful day, and I thank the organisers for putting together such a great event. But in particular, I would like to acknowledge the trustees of the Shrine that facilitated and enabled the opportunity for them to hold it there. The head of the trustees, I think it's Colonel John Wertheimer, and with the minister in front of me, he'll probably be able to correct me if I've pronounced his surname wrong, but he put together he provided a wonderful opportunity for, I think, probably the only group that holds their National Day on the steps of the Shrine, and I commend them for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Kroger.